5 o'clock on a Wednesday, and it's time for
A Craig and Ryland Magic Review Show.
I'm Craig.
I'm Ryland.
Welcome back to another review show right here on
Magic TV.
We are filming this the day after Boxing Day. We've had a great Christmas, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've ate lots, we've drunk lots, we have watched lots of terrible Christmas films and some good ones. You have now watched Die Hard. He can now tell you that Die Hard is the greatest Christmas film of all time.
Yeah.
And we've had a great time. We hope you've had a good time as well. But
Don't get how Die Hard 3 is a Christmas film though.
Shut up, you don't need to know. We've watched Die Hard 1 and 2, definitely Christmas films. Die Hard 3, debatable, not so much. But he hasn't seen 3 yet.
It's July, isn't it?
Yeah, it's set in the summer. There's a scene with a taxi that's amazing, but you'll get to that later.
I want to watch a taxi scene.
Yeah, we'll watch it tomorrow.
What happens?
You'll see. We're reviewing magic right now. Maybe if there's time, I'll show you later. But we're reviewing 4 brand new tricks to the magic community. Very, very exciting magic coming out at the moment. And 2 of them are from your favourite creator, David Regal, which is very, very exciting. But we're not starting off with the David Regal trick. We're starting off with a Rubik's Cube trick. And another one of Ryland's favourite magicians, a guy called Taiwan Ben. We're going to get into that right now. So first up we have Solo Cube by Taiwan Ben, and it says here, a picture of a Rubik's Cube comes real in this incredible effect. When I first saw the trailer for this, I thought this looked like CGI. Like, I thought this looked like fake video production or something. Like, I'm like,
Daddy,
there's no way that you could actually have a Rubik's Cube produced like that and make it look that good.
Have you seen the catalogue?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, but the thing with the catalogue, yeah, you're talking about the Henry Evans thing where the Rubik's Cube appears out of the catalogue of Rubik's Cubes.
It's possible.
It is possible,
It's just
yeah.
that you actually see the cube, like, appear.
And that's the thing that's amazing. You've got this playing card and you see the image, kind of the
Starting to
shadowy
appear
image of the
and
cube
then-
just appear.
And it falls into your hand.
Yeah, it's crazy good. But you are right, this reminds me a little bit of the Henry Evans routine. But this is kind of more designed for a close-up performer, because the Henry Evans thing, you're making a big cube appear, you're needing to carry that big, with it, you've got to carry that big catalogue with it. With this...
And it's a big cube.
And it's a big cube, exactly, so it's a lot harder. It needs to be preset in position. With this, you can show both sides of the card before you actually even start making the image of the cube appear. Now, you filmed this for Instagram, didn't you? So we've got some footage of Ryland doing this on Instagram. Have a look at this footage, you can see exactly what it looks like, and then we'll talk about what we think. So that was a performance of Solo Cube. I mean, that looked great. I mean, Ryland did that for an Instagram reel, so it was shortened down a little bit. Normally, in a real-world performance, you would get the you would have the card picked from the deck. So that 10 of diamonds would be taken out of a deck of cards. Yeah. You'd show it both sides. You put the deck away, and that's when you'd load the cube into position. You were holding the cube out from the beginning, because I think it's not giving too much away to let people know that you are having to hold out a cube. You could have that cube in position from the beginning, but realistically, to make it look as good as it did look when you did it, you have to be holding the cube out from the beginning, don't you?
Yeah.
So you need to have it in some sort of finger palm, and you need to position it into position. How difficult is that to do? I mean, the routine itself, the actual production of the cube is actually really easy, isn't it? I mean, you watch, it's a 12-minute tutorial. You watch this and you almost got it straight away. I mean, to be honest, you learned how to do it without watching the tutorial, because he opened up the box and he was like, oh, I think I can do this. And then I made him watch the tutorial just in case he learnt anything else. But it's not, you tell me. I mean, how difficult is the routine to do? Because Taiwan Ben goes through a correct and an incorrect way to do it. And is the actual loading of the cube difficult to do as well? Tell everyone.
I think it's really easy. And the loading is pretty easy as well, because it's literally just put on there and it's done.
You put it on there. So you're just literally taking the card into the other hand and loading it on.
Yeah, so it's like loaded.
You could have the cube on there from the beginning. Do you think that
Yeah.
takes away something?
If you don't use the deck, you could have it straight on, which is fine. Because, I mean, they can still see the card. But then, and it pops.
But you can't show both sides until after the cube's appeared.
Yeah.
That moment where the cube, just the image of the cube appears on the card, though, is just brilliant. Like, that looks
I
so
don't even
good.
know how that works.
No, me neither. It's crazy good, isn't
Yeah,
it?
because you can see the thing there. When it goes in the card, it's just there, but the white lines in between it.
Yeah.
I'll show you. I'll show you.
I know exactly what you mean. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Now, negatives. I can think of a couple of negatives that people need to be aware of. The first negative is you're left with a mini cube that you can't use. You can't use that cube, can you?
Unless you take the magnets off.
Yeah, but you're not going to do that in the middle of a performance. Like, you can't do
you
that.
can give it a few little turns.
Yeah, no, you can make people think it's a real cube.
Yeah.
But you can't transition from solo cube, then use the mini cube for something else.
No.
The mini cube is basically...
I've got a mini cube that does look actually like that cube.
Yeah? So you could switch it, is the point.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, because the other thing is, obviously, the one side of this cube is black, so it's not going to match a lot of cubes.
Yeah, it's. I'm pretty sure that that's actually like a coloured cube. That's like there's a mini cube that instead of being black on the inside with colourful stickers, it's white with colourful stickers instead of black.
Got it.
And I've got that in my room. I just don't know if one of the stickers is black or if it's white.
Okay.
I don't know if it's white on white or black on white.
Okay. It obviously has to be black with this cube in order for the
Unless you get
illusion
some
to work.
black stickers and cut them into tiny squares.
Yeah, you could do. You could do. I'm sure there's cell cubes like that. Okay, the other thing is, from an angles point of view, you can't have people too close.
No.
Because obviously the cube is hidden behind the card at one point, and it's not palmed, it's held in position. The gimmick does all the work for you. But if you're having people that were really close and they can see down behind the card, they're going to see they're going to see what's going on. So this is kind of better for kind of like maybe a parlor or a banquet style situation. You could do this walk around, but you'd have to be very aware of your angles, very aware of the people around you, and you'd have to take a step back before you started performing it.
Yeah.
It's not that it can't be seen up close. The actual illusion can be seen up close. And one handling they do have on there, don't they, is, and one maybe you could do it in a close-up performance, is instead of having, I mean, the way you saw Ryland do it is he was holding the card up here and he was loading it behind the card, so it was all done here at head height or chest height. You could have the card down here, so if you're doing walk round, you could show somebody the card, have the cube in this hand, and almost like a cups and balls or a matrix load, as you put the card over here, the cube gets loaded underneath it. And then you can kind of get them to cup their hands together and you can shake and you can have it pop into their hand and then pick it up immediately. So that's a way to manage the angles. If you did it that way, the angles wouldn't be a problem. But I don't think it would look as good as like literally dropping it down from chest height. But yeah, I mean, that's all it is. I mean, it's very well made. I think it's going to last a long time. My question for you is, you've done it on Instagram. Is this something that you would actually do? And if you would do it, what environment would you do it in?
I think I'd do it close up.
Close up?
Yeah.
So you do close up. Okay. I really like this as well. It's probably not the sort of thing that I would do, but it doesn't mean that it's not great. I think it looks awesome. I think it's very visual. And like I say, that moment where that cube just appears in sort of on the card, it almost looks like CGI. I'm going to give this 79%. It's the highest mark I can give something if I'm not actually going to perform it. What about you?
I'm going to give it 100.
100%. 100% from Ryland, 79% from me. Another great trick from Taiwan Ben. If you want to produce a mini cube in the middle of your close-up act, this is the way to do it. Well done, Taiwan Ben. Let's move on to the next product. Okay, so next up we have Dissolve by Sheng and Erick White. And Dissolve is kind of a weird routine that combines a card through bill with a colour changing card. They credit Matt Johnson on the project. They say that this is based on a card through bill by Matt Johnson. But they've added a colour changing card to it. And you get a gimmick card and you borrow a bill or use your own bill, and it allows you to do this really cool moment where the card is going through the bill and then changes colour as it comes out the other side. I'm not going to say what I think. You're not going to say what you think. Again, this is one that you did for Instagram, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll play you the Instagram footage so you can see exactly what it is that this looks like.
And then we'll talk.
And then we'll talk about it. So let's have a look at Ryland doing this.
Read your mind.
Yeah, you are a mind reader. Let's have a look at the video of Ryland doing this on Instagram and Facebook. Okay, so that's the routine. I have thoughts on this. You and I haven't really spoken about what we think about this. You learnt it. I will say, let me just give people facts first of all. The gimmick's well made. You've been playing with it now for a while, and it's not broken or anything like that. No. You do get extra stuff in order to fix it, and the tutorial teaches you how to fix it if it breaks. The stuff that you need in order to fix it is included.
The stuff that makes it work.
Yeah, the stuff that makes it work, that's included. To get extra stuff, and as well as the extra stuff, they get instructions on how to fix it. The tutorial's about 20 minutes long. There's no live performance, which is a shame. I just think in this day and age, why there's no live performances, I just don't know. But there's no live performances. Instead, there's a studio performance. It's shot to camera. It's dubbed in English, which is fine. I've got what sounds like a voice actor doing it. So the actual production quality is good. The gimmick is good. They explain things very, very clearly. You get it. You know, sometimes with gimmicks like this, it can be a little bit confusing. This is not confusing. You can understand it straight away. So those are the facts. Do you like this? Because
I kind of like it.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't. I don't like it at all. Can I tell you why I don't like it?
When you actually do it, it looks pretty good.
It does. No, look. Don't get me wrong. It looks good. But can I tell you why I don't like it?
Why?
First of all, I don't understand why those two plots have been joined together. It makes no sense to have a card go halfway through a bill, penetrate halfway through a bill, and then change colour. Like, to be
honest, you could like make it change as it's coming through if you wanted to.
Yeah, but in order to do that, in order to do the colour changing aspect, they've had to sacrifice the card through bill, because there's lots of different ways of doing a card through a bill, lots of different ways of doing it. I mean, this is based on a Matt Johnson routine, but there's tons of different ways of pushing a solid object through a borrowed bill, right? And normally it goes all the way through and then heals. This can't go all the way through because they have to have that colour change. So they've sacrificed my favourite part of a penetration routine in order to have this colour changing aspect.
What's your favourite part?
Is when it goes all the way through and they think there's a hole and then you heal it up afterwards. You're not really got that with this. But also, when you're a layperson watching a trick, one of the first things lay people think of is when they're trying to figure out how a trick works, I think, is they try to think, oh, maybe he switched it. Oh, maybe somehow it was switched. Well, turning a card from blue to red isn't really going to help that. If anything, you're telling people that you did switch the card in the middle of the routine, because it turns for no reason at all from blue to red. Just because something can be done, just because you can work out a way of actually doing this and turning a card from blue to red in the middle of a penetration, doesn't mean it should be done. Maybe if they gave on the tutorial some routining advice or some advice on presenting it, then maybe. But there is no advice like that. It's literally take the card, put it through. Now, don't get me wrong, it looks super visual. And when you put it on Instagram, it looked great. Absolutely, 100%. But it's not very logical to me. If you could really do magic, you know, is this what you do? Well, maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know. And then the other thing is, this is very gimmicked. Now, it is going to fall apart at some point. Yes, you can fix it, and that's very admirable. But it is such a gimmicked routine. The card is so gimmicked.
Yeah.
The card is very, very gimmicked. Like when you pull that card through and it changes red, that card cannot be examined. Not only can it not be examined, when it turns red, They can't even show the other side of it. You can't show it to King anymore. You can't show the other side of it. So you show the bill, which is what you did in your performance on Instagram. You show the bill instead of the card. But in my opinion, it's the card that people are going to want to see because that's what's changed colour. Now, they go through how you can actually change that card for a regular card by having a deck on hand. But that's precisely the wrong time to switch a card. When that card's just turned from blue to red, people are going to want to examine that at that point. And that is not the right time to do a switch. Plus, there's a million other ways of making a card change colour, which is gimmickless, and there's a million other ways of making a solid object go through a solid object. Like you do pen through anything. You did pen through anything. You did an examinable version of pen through anything in the everything box that you filmed for Penguin Magic. They flew you over to America, and you did the Penguin pen through bill, which is immediately examinable.
Yeah.
You take the pen, you put it through. You then pull it out, they hear the rip, and the pen is examinable immediately, and the bill's examinable. Are you telling me that this penetration is better than that pen through bill?
No.
And is this the best colour changing card you've ever seen?
No.
So all we've done is took two substandard tricks, put them together into one trick, and hope that by combining them together it's better than... I don't know. Maybe I'm being negative. I don't know. I just don't particularly. This doesn't float my boat. I'd never perform it. I'd never carry the gimmick card around to do it. And if I wanted to do push something through a bill, I'd put a key through a bill. I'd put a pen through a bill.
Yeah, I'll do a pen through the bill as well. I'm gonna give it 79.
You've gone from liking it to not do. Don't let me change your mind.
No, I like it. It looks good. I just don't know if I'll do it.
Okay. So 79% from you.
Yeah.
I'm giving it 50%, 40%. It's all right. Look, you just saw Ryland do it. If you want that sort of visual, it's not hard. You can do that. Absolutely. It's just I think that there's too many flaws and there's better things that achieve the same thing. And that's why I can't recommend this. 40% from me, 79% from the Kid Magician. Let's move on. Okay, so next we have David Regal's Canon, the Any Card Prediction System by Vanishing Ink and David Regal.
You're supposed to wrap it like that.
Okay, sorry. But David Regal and Vanishing Ink. And you know, Vanishing Ink are legends. They're Josh and Andy and George. They know what they're doing. And you combine Vanishing Ink with David Regal and, you know, magic's going to happen. So what we have here is, it's a very interesting plot. In essence, you can have somebody name a card, and the card that they name will have been predicted from the very beginning. And there's three ways of doing this. And the first way is by having an envelope on hand from the very beginning. And inside the envelope is the card that they named. The second way is by having it appear in a card box. So exactly the same thing, but then you take a card box, you open up the card box and the card's in the card box. And then the third way is using a wallet. And David goes through three different handlings. One using a wallet, although it's a commercially available wallet, you'd have to buy it if you haven't got it. But one using a card box and one using a envelope. Now, if you don't know the routine, I'm going to perform it to Ryland so you can see exactly what it is. And then we're going to talk about exactly that. Okay, Ryland, I'm going to show you the greatest card trick of all time.
Okay.
This is the greatest card trick of all time. I have been sent over Christmas. I have been sent a contract by Vanishing Ink themselves. Andy Gladwin, Joshua J have sent me a contract. You're not allowed to have it. This is a confidential contract between me and David Regal, allowing me to perform the greatest card trick of all time. You're going to see the greatest card trick of all time. Now, let me ask you a question. If I took a deck of cards and I took them out and I spread through the cards and had you pick one, would that be a completely fair way of having a card picked?
No.
Why not?
Because you can force it.
Okay, good point. What about if I riffled my thumb down the deck and had you to say stop?
You can force it.
Okay. What about if I had you like name red or black, and if you said black, I'd say, right, okay, that'll leave us with red, and then hearts and diamond. Would that
That's cheating because you can force it.
Okay, what about if I snap my fingers and I just have you name a card, and whatever card you name, I take out the deck?
Unless you influence me, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'm not going to influence you. I'm going to let you pick any card.
I feel like that 10 of hearts is suspicious.
That 10 of clubs, you mean? Or the 10 of hearts is suspicious. Very, very possibly. I'm going to snap my fingers, name a card.
7 diamonds.
You sure?
Yeah. Just because I feel like no one names the 7s.
Well, the 7s aren't very well represented by the magic community, I think. Are you sure you're happy with the 7 of diamonds? Because if you're happy, I'm happy. But if you want to change your mind, now is the time, my little friend, to change your mind. You happy? Now, do you remember I showed you this contract from the very beginning? This confidential contract, the only person who can see this is me, yes? Well, you can see it a little bit later on. This contract is so important, there's actually a little sort of piece of string here that locks it up. Can you undo it? Amazing work, that man. Thank you very much. Now, think about this for a minute. This contract has been here from the very, very beginning of the trick, hasn't it? And you could have picked any card. You picked the 7 of diamonds, didn't you? Now, let me see if I can... I'm trying to... It's not a very big contract. If just trying to get... there you go. It's about the size of a playing card. Here's what's interesting, Ryland. This has been inside here from the very beginning. You could have named any card. You named the 7 of diamonds. And I predicted, with my little contract here, that you would go.
Contract?
Yeah. Andy and Josh sent me the 7 of diamonds because
If I
they
swap
knew.
them around?
Oh no, you don't want to do that. You definitely don't want to do that.
Why?
Just because you don't.
I'm gonna swap them so then they get their contract back. It's wrong.
No, you're not.
Oh.
Now, when I filmed that performance to Ryland, he hadn't seen this trick before. He has since watched it, and I've told him exactly how it works, and he is aware of everything. He watched the tutorial, but when I did that performance, you'd never seen it before, did you? The reason I'm telling you that is because my concern with this is exactly what Ryland did. I ended up with the 2 cards. You named 7 of diamonds, didn't you?
Yeah.
I ended up with the 2 7 of diamonds on the table, and you went to pick them up not to examine them.
Oh, that's why I couldn't.
Yeah, you went to pick them up not to examine them, but you were like messing around with them. And the problem
I
is,
think people want to examine them.
at that point there,
They're like, what?
the cards can't be examined. Here's the thing, this is a very clever system. It's typical David Regal. It is very, very clever. The man is a genius, let's be honest.
Yeah.
The problem is, for me, you have the deck of cards that comes with this. So you get with it a deck of cards. This is a custom printed deck of cards that's designed to work with this system. This is the Canon system, this deck of cards here. This deck of cards is specially printed, specially gaffed, and cannot be even slightly examined. You can't look at them, you can't have the spectator touch them, they can't be shuffled, because these are what's used to create the effect that you just saw.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is, and I want to try and vocalize this. Right, you're obviously going to compare this to the invisible deck, because the invisible deck is a very similar thing. Name a card, oh look, it's the only card that's turned over. Now, the weakness of the invisible deck is the card is turned over in the middle of the deck. So because of that, maybe people could think you could turn it over when they weren't looking, right? But the advantage is everything's self-contained. You have a reason for having this deck in play because you're telling the spectators, I've turned 1 card over in this deck. With the Canon system, the deck doesn't really have anything to do with the prediction. The prediction is in an envelope. The prediction is in a wallet. The prediction is in a card box. It is nothing to do with this deck. So the deck has to be brought into play because the deck is part of the method, but the deck is not part of the reveal. So in other words, this has to be a standalone piece. Now, the reason for using this deck, obviously, is so that you can take the card out that they name. So they name a card, you take it out, you put it down on the table. That's the reason for it, right? But in reality, if you can't put this into the middle of a card set unless you're planning on switching the deck for this one and then switching it back out again for the regular deck afterwards, because you wouldn't want to bring a second deck of cards out just specifically to do this routine, which basically means that you need to maybe do this as a standalone piece and just... But why, again, I can't get my head around, why have we got this deck in play? Why not just have them name a card? We're having them name a card. The deck is here to take this card out and put it on the table. But we don't need to put the card on the table. We could just have them name a card. Name a card. 7 of diamonds. Interesting, because in here is the 7 of diamonds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Just wondering, could people think that there's like, what's it called? Those things that you hold all the cards in. Like
a crib. An index, sorry.
Yeah, an index. Could they think that that big thing is an index, considering it's so big and it's just a little card?
Very possibly. Like, I mean, obviously the envelope has to be that big in order for the trick to work. But the envelope can't be examined either. When you finish the routine, the envelope can't be examined. If you're using the card box method, the card box can't be examined. If you're using the wallet method, the wallet can't be examined. So this can't be examined. The deck that you've took the cards out of can't be examined. And the two cards that are down on the table that match each other can't be examined. Now, I imagine, well, I know because there's a live performance, David Regal is masterful performer and can get away with that absolutely fine. And you watch David perform this and you're going to think it's the second coming and you're going to want to do it immediately. But when I sat down with it, I don't think I'm as good a performer as David Regal. So when I sat down and looked at it, I was like, okay, this is really good. This is really clever. But the problem is I'm left with a whole bunch of stuff on a table that can't even be looked at or examined at all. And therein lies the problem, because there are ways of actually doing this. Like I say, you have to compare this to the invisible deck because it's the same thing. And in many reasons, the invisible deck isn't as good because this is separate. They name a card and it's separate. But you've got this deck of cards in play. You have to somehow get a card from here to here. Now, David goes through many different ways of doing that. He goes through a completely self-working version, which is the version that I did on you. Then he goes through a couple of different versions that require a gambler's cop, which are obviously more complicated and more difficult and require a little bit more practice. But in essence, it's a prediction of a playing card. That's exactly what it is. Look, there's many different ways to predict a playing card. You know, if you use a pocket index like Dex, for example, by Lloyd Barnes, or, you know, one of the other million different indexes, Cheetah or whatever, that are out there, you could achieve the same thing with an index. You look at, you know, Vanishing Ink themselves have brought out indexes in the past with Switch One by Christian Grace. They had a really great index, and, you know, it was kind of, look, I'm going to put this card here, name a card, boom. I would argue that Switch One is a little bit better than this. This is good. Don't get me wrong. I think, again, I don't want people to think I'm slagging off David Regal, because I'm not. The man's a genius and way better in every way, shape and form than I will ever be. I just think that unless your audience management is very strong, you're going to really struggle with this, especially when there's other ways of, in essence, doing exactly the same trick. I'm not going to do this. Everyone knows I'm a massive fan of the invisible deck. You use the invisible deck in your show.
Yeah.
I use the invisible deck in my close-up set.
I think I would do the invisible deck.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give this 79%. I think it's really good.
Same.
It's just not for me. It's not for me. There's too many problems for me personally as a performer, too many problems for him personally as a performer that would mean that I wouldn't do this. But hey, you've just seen a performance. I've basically taught you through exactly what's happening here. If it's the sort of thing that you like, get it. You're not going to be disappointed. It's David Regal. You know, he's the best teacher of magic in the industry as far as I'm concerned. It's just, for me, I would do something else. 79% from me and Ryland. Now we're going to move on to a David Regal trick that we both would do. So the final trick that we have is another one by David Regal. It's called Silver Transit. It's only available from David Regal himself. You can't get it from anywhere else, at least not now. And it is a version of the visible coins in glass. Now, this is a plot that you have a lot of experience in, because you've been doing this plot since you've been like 8, 9 years old, something like that. If anybody's seen Ryland's show, you'll know he does a trick where coins on stage go from one place to another. You use a gimmick called Clonk, which is remote controlled, and that's how the coins end up in the actual bucket. And you use a coin stand from Viking Magic that allows you to make the coins vanish. Now, what you have here is you have a version of that plot. Now, what David has done, I want to talk about this. So he has redesigned the coin stand. And the original coin stand by Viking Magic, which is the one that you use, is made out of wood. And you can't see underneath it. It's kind of completely wood everywhere. And you put coins on there, and then you take them off, and they vanish, apparently. What David's done is applied Illusion Builder's technology into this. So it looks a lot thinner. You can see underneath the stand. You can see everything. The stand is so much better made than the stand that you've got.
Well, me got it as broke.
Yeah. And,
Viking.
yeah, and we had to super glue it, didn't we?
I had to get some super glue and like glue double.
Yeah.
But that, okay, it feels like, because it's plastic, it feels stronger.
It does feel stronger, yeah. We're going to have a look at the performance of Ryland when he did this on Instagram. Let's have a look at this, and then when we've looked at it, we'll talk about exactly what we think. So that was a performance of the routine. Now that was a very quick performance because she shot it as a reel, so it had to be under 60 seconds.
Yeah.
But in essence, what you saw there is the effect. You show a glass, you show a napkin, you drop the napkin over the glass, you put an elastic band in place, you take the coins one at a time, you see and hear them go into the glass.
Yeah.
And then you take the elastic band off, you take the napkin off, you tip them off, and you show that all 4 coins are there.
Yeah.
Very, very strong, completely different to Clonk.
Yeah.
Very, very different. So there's 2 aspects to this. There's the vanish of the coins, which is self-working, because you're using a coin stand, which if you've never used a coin... Well, you've been using coin stands in every single show for about 3 years. How good is a coin stand?
I like coin stands.
You like coin stands. Yeah, I mean, they're easy to use, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
You literally just put a coin on the stand and it's going to vanish. Now, this is not designed for a close-up performance, is it? So what I mean by that is if we get Ryland to vanish 1 coin, there we go.
Mine needs to be the other way around.
Oh, sorry, okay. I don't use coin stands, you do. There we go. No, it's not. Is it? Yeah, I don't know. There you go.
Then it looks thinner because if you have it like that, you can see.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Yeah.
So, excellent. Now, if you're doing this close up and you're putting it down on a restaurant table, that's not going to be a good thing to have, is it? People are going to see what's going on. So you want to do it in like a parlor setting. You want to do it in kind of a stage setting. You've always done this thing on stage, haven't you? You've always done it on stage. No, don't leave it until later. The other thing, aspect to this is the actual coins going into the glass. Don't want to talk about the method here, but you get a glass designed to do this. The glass is ungimmicked, but it does have certain qualities that allow you to be able to do the routine that you just saw Ryland do. In essence, it's very clean. The coins drop into the glass 1 at a time.
Yeah.
And then you take the napkin off. They hear them. They can see a flash of the coins dropping down as they land.
Yeah.
Now you and then when you tip them out, there's 4 coins. Now you told me that you actually, and I was shocked when you said this. You told me that you actually prefer this to Clonk, and you know after you've got through your shows over the next few days, you're planning on putting this in instead of Clonk. Yeah. That shocked me because I know how much you love Clonk. Can you tell me why? Because the massive disadvantage to this, as far as I can see, as somebody who doesn't do this style of routine at all, and you do, the massive disadvantage is with this, you're holding the glass the whole time. With Clonk, the bucket's over there, out the way, and you're doing that. This moment always gets a round of applause where you do that, and they hear it, and you show your hand empty.
When you're holding it, you can also hear it. Like you can hear it going because it's covered as well.
Yeah.
And you hear it, so you hear it, you see it, and it's covered.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you got a point. I'm not going to argue with you. You're the expert when it comes to this style of routine. So yeah, I mean, this is something that Ryland's been doing for about 2 or 3 years now in his show, and he said to me immediately after he watched it, that's going to replace Clonk. Shocked me. So
I'll probably still do Clonk, but not as much.
Right, okay. So what would you give this?
Say 100%.
100%. I'm going to give it. I want to have a play around with this. We've got 2 of these. We treated ourselves to Christmas. Huh?
Are we gonna? Do they sell refills of the napkins?
They're just napkins, dude.
Yeah, but where'd you get napkins from?
Where'd you get napkins from? You buy them, dude, from like anywhere.
Where from?
Anywhere. Amazon.
Could you get some from McDonald's?
Yes. You go steal some from McDonald's. You can get them from anywhere. Oh my God, honestly.
I didn't know.
I'm gonna have a go at this as well. I think this could be really cool. As David says in the tutorial. By the way, the tutorial is excellent. No live performance, unfortunately, but still an excellent tutorial. As David said in the tutorial, this is one of these routines that is so clear. You don't really need to say what's going on. You don't need to use much patter because you can see the coins are going from here to here, and that's true. You don't use patter at all for this, do you?
No.
You just literally have the coins going from one place to another. So 100% from Ryland, 100% from me. This is an incredible trick by David Regal. You can only get it from his website, so go to David Regal's website and you can get it, and it's really good. So there you go. That is Silver Transit by David Regal.
There's another video in the bag. There's another video in the bag. There's another video in the bag.
Ah!
It's blank.
Oh my God, don't do that. I thought you were going to shoot me in the nose.
Tic-tac. Goodbye. Poof. Oh, I did.
Oh my.
I think I hit the camera.
That isn't this is what happens when you film a review show. You just stay there and make sure the camera's pointing in the right direction, and you can shout from behind the camera. Thanks very much for joining us right here on Magic TV. This is what happens when you film a review show with your son after Christmas and he's into Nerf. We'll see you again soon. Don't forget to subscribe to YouTube. If you want to follow Ryland, he's Ryland the Kid Magician on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And don't forget, you want to join the Netrix, please do so by going to www.thenetrix.com.
Cookies. Cookies.
We'll be back again soon. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Craig.
I'm Ryland.
And we'll see.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.